Hey guys, what's up? It's Caden from the Code Bros. Today we're going to be going through part 2 of this quick lesson on making this employee managing software. Um, and so in the last episode, or not the last, in the last lesson, we made the display employee menu, the initialize employees, and display employees functions. Those were all really fun to make, really cool to do, but what kind of was disappointing about those things is that we couldn't actually make changes to any of the employees. What we're going to do now is actually manage that employee list, be able to change the values inside, and that sort of thing. So as you can see, I added the function declaration up here for manage employees. It's going to take that same employees array. Down here in our display employee menu, for case 2, I did add the manage employees function here. And then we'll just go ahead and dive into this code down here for this function. Alrighty, so as I said before, it's got a void return type, so it's not going to return anything. And it takes our array of employee data type. So a few pieces of data we're going to need to have access to up here is an integer ID. So this is going to be the reference of which ID we're currently looking at and choosing to edit. We're going to have a choice for our switch statement. We're going to need a buffer that's 10 characters long. We're going to default that to all null characters. And the buffer is more or less going to be for first or last name. So if the user wants to change first name, we'll input to buffer and then do a string copy. If they want to change last name, we'll input to buffer and do a string copy. We also have character gender so that we can change the gender of them. We will have an integer age and hours. The reason I did age and hours together is they're both integer data types. So there's not really a reason to have int age and int hours because they both hold the same kind of data. So that would just be a waste of 8 bytes, just pretty much for no reason. So we can combine these two and use them as age and hours since we're only making one edit at a time anyway. And that just saves us 8 bytes of data. We also have a float pay. This is like the wage to change here. And we default that to $0.00, cast it back as a float. And then our boolean done for our while loop. So what I'm going to do at the beginning is actually display the employees. So we call that display employees function and pass in our array. And then we ask for the user to input an ID that they want to edit, and they see into that ID value. After that, we display a quick little menu. It's all in the same line just to keep it from, eight things vertically. It can get kind of overwhelming looking, so pretty easy just to display them all on one line, put some pipes between, and it looks pretty clean still. And we're going to have them enter their choice. So in the case that they want to change the first name, what we're going to do is have them, it displays a message, enter new first name. It will see into that buffer array up here. And then we do a string copy on employees sub ID. So say they were editing employee ID number 5. It would go to that employee and pass in their first name as the destination string for string copy, and pass in buffer as the source string for string copy. And it's going to copy whatever is inputted into buffer into that first name variable. Same for last name, except we just switch it up to last name here. In case 3, they want to change the age, and so we tell them to enter a new age. And we see into age and hours. That variable is to handle age and hours since they're both integers. Again, we reference the employees sub ID. We reference, or we look into their age variable and assign it whatever was input into age and hours. Case 4 edits the gender. We see into that character gender here either an M or an F is what we're going for. Again, reference the ID spot in the array and the gender value inside of that struct, and assign it whatever was input into gender. Case 5 and 6 are a bit different. Pretty much the same 3 steps at first: enter new wage, see into pay, assign hourly wage, whatever value was stored into pay. What we need to do whenever we update wage or weekly hours, though, is recalculate the yearly pay. So we do this again by saying hourly wage times weekly hours times 52. So that's their hourly wage times however many hours they work per week times 52 weeks per year. Then we can do the same thing for weekly hours, and we use the variable age and hours again. Same first 3 steps as pretty much all the other ones, and then you want to go ahead and recalculate that yearly pay again. Case 7 is to change the ID, so this is to change which person you want to edit. Say you're editing person 5 and you input 7 as your choice here, and you said you want to change the ID, and you change the ID to 2. Now you're editing person 2, and you can start making changes to their information because the ID changes. Case 8 kicks us out of the managing menu. Just sets done to true. And then we also want to, at the very end, pass the switch statement. I can go ahead and put another space here to make that a bit more clear. Still inside of the while loop, we want to say if the choice does not equal 8 and the choice does not equal 7. So if it's choice 6 or 1 through 6, pretty much is what we're saying here, we want to display that menu. And the reason for that is because we actually made changes to the data stored at some part of the array, right? And so when we make changes, we want to give that user feedback and actually let them see what has changed. Now I'll go ahead and run this real quick. And as we did in the last lesson, we went ahead and called that initialize employees function right at the beginning. And so our array should already be initialized. Now what we can do is press 2 to head into that manage employee information. So what it does is it redisplays our table here, and we say enter ID to edit. So let's go ahead and edit person ID 7 here. So this person. We're going to change their first name, and I'll go ahead and just change it to, we'll go Shelly. So as you can see, it does display that again so that we can have some feedback. And ID 7's first name is now Shelly. Let's go ahead and change her last name, so we'll use 2 to access the changed last name. We'll enter a new last name. We'll call her Shelly Hill, I guess. So Shelly Hill. So then the change did go through there. We'll change her age by typing 3. She's 26. Age changed, as you can see down here. We'll change her gender to female. The gender changed. We'll type 5 to change her wage. She makes $26.50 an hour. As you can see, $26.50. She only works, we'll say 25 hours a week. So as you can see, 25 hours changed. Now one other thing that changed through these is, as you can see, her hours were 40 here, and her wage was 10, and her yearly pay was $20,800 a year. We changed the hourly rate she made, and it went up because the hours stayed the same. It went up to $55,120 per year. Now when we cut back on those hours she worked, her yearly pay changed to $34,450 per year. So as you can see, when we change the hours, it does update that yearly pay. When we change the wage, it does update that yearly pay. Let's go ahead and change the ID now. So we're going to enter choice 7. Say we want to edit person 3. And let's change their first name. I'll change it to Caden. Okay, so as you can see, ID 3 changed to Caden. We'll enter last name. And the last name is Lofton. We'll enter their age. I'm 20 now. And so the age changes to 20. We'll enter the wage. We'll do $15.75 per hour. As you can see, that updates. And hours, I work 50 a week. And as you can see, changes to 50 hours per week. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much that managing function and how I wanted to go through that. It is super, super cool, super fun stuff we're learning, and pretty much this is more or less a good video to show the progress you guys have made. Just the fact that you are at this point in the series and you can produce code like this, maybe not completely off the top of your head, maybe with a little bit of help here and there, but you guys should be understanding what's kind of going on here and be able to maybe tweak this a bit to fit it to what you want to do. Then we'll hit 8, we can exit the menu here. Hit 4 to exit the program. But yeah, if you guys have any sort of questions about this and maybe need some help with something, maybe some concepts not quite sticking, for sure you can email me. It's maybe I'll pull up Notepad here and we'll go edit. Sorry about this. You can email me. It's Caden at thecodebros.com. So yeah, definitely feel free to shoot me an email, leave a comment if you have a question, anything like that. Definitely feel free to let me know and I can try and help you out. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying these videos and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.